Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Philip McMillan, and I'm here to give you some breaking news with regards to hantavirus. Now, you may not have ever heard about this, but I'm going to share with you some details about it because this is an important story that is developing. But right at the start, we're going to share a BBC clip talking about what is going on. And before I go into this, just a reminder, coming up in the next 2 days is why is toxic liver disease rising across every age group. Very important information. We are keeping you ahead of the science. So let's jump straight into what is actually going on. There is a ship, a cruise ship, that is located somewhere off, I think, on the Canary Islands. And here is the BBC News report that gives us a little bit more information as to what exactly is going on. Let's hear what they had to say.
Last year, Americans spent $10 billion on protein powder. $10 billion. That's not a wellness trend, that's an economy. The secret, a lot of that money was spent on chemicals and artificial garbage. Breakthrough formulas, superior muscle building fuel inside those brightly colored tubs, cheap fillers, artificial sweeteners, and proprietary blends that basically mean, trust me. Some of this stuff, let's just say if you try to sell it in a stricter market, you'd have a much longer conversation with the regulators than you'd like. That's why Transparent Labs exists. Truly clean protein made with simple ingredients. Grass-fed whey from hormone-free cows. Every ingredient visible, pronounceable, and third-party tested, with results that you can actually check. 28 grams of clean protein, 130 calories, 0 grams of what you didn't ask for. Shop grass-fed whey protein isolate at transparentlabs.com.
Hey everybody, Walton Goggins here. Starting a business is never easy, but with GoDaddy Aero, that endeavor is about to become a whole lot easier.
Hey man, you got this?
Create a website that looks like
Hantavirus have been formally confirmed after 3 people died in a suspected outbreak on a cruise ship off the coast of West Africa. A British crew member requires urgent medical care and a passenger from the UK remains in a critical but stable condition. The World Health Organization says it has identified a total of 7 cases in the outbreak. Our correspondent Kumsa Filani has more.
What we've heard overnight from the cruise line owners, a company called Ocean Expeditions, is they've confirmed that they are currently working on plans to carry out a medical evacuation of 2 crew members who are still on board that MV Honduras cruise ship off the shoreline of Cape Verde. Now, this is because they've not been allowed to disembark the 149 passengers who are from various nationalities around the world. The local authorities there have expressed concern that they don't know the full details of the disease, and they're concerned what that would mean for the population. So
this is an important breaking story. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is that I've been following this, and I looked at hantavirus a few years ago when I was looking at a template for severe COVID. And believe me, the diseases are not actually dissimilar in terms of how it seems to cause severe disease. So the important thing is that straight off, I'll tell you that anybody who is thinking of developing a vaccine, which they are doing, they're looking at an mRNA candidate, please study the pathophysiology of this disease before you go doing unusual things. Just to share with you a few basic principles as to what exactly I think is going on. But here first is an overview of the hantavirus. It's a rodent-borne viral disease causing vascular leak, lung injury, and kidney injury. It's an RNA virus normally carried by rodents like rats, and humans are accidental hosts. And the main primary disease is damage to the endothelium lining and leakage of fluid out. And this is why people can get very, very sick. And the main problems it causes is either the pulmonary syndrome, where you can get fever, cough, and breathlessness, with pulmonary edema, that means leakage of fluid into the lungs, or you can get the hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome. This is more like dengue kind of presentation. With fever, platelets are low, protein in the urine, and kidney injury. Now, it's a pretty lethal disease, and when it's normally transmitted, it usually is from dust contaminated by rodents or urine or droppings of saliva. And person-to-person spread is rare, and it's only primarily linked to the Andes variant of this virus. And as I said, it will infect the lining cells of blood vessels as well as some immune cells like macrophages. It causes problems with plating and platelets and
Y'all can believe this message you want. Ultimately, it's the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but Yahweh Shem Yahushua is using this man and he's conjuring up these viruses in the lab via CDC or whatever, means of altering and changing these viruses. I digress.
Clotting and immune activation. This is the bit that got people confused in COVID as well. It's the immune system that does the damage, not the virus itself. And severe cases can progress very rapidly and require supportive care. And as I said, rodent, urine, feces to human, human to lungs. The critical thing that I want you to remember here, person-to-person spread is rare. Now, the reason I'm highlighting that is because what you have here is a ship that you had already 3 deaths. And the ship sailed from Argentina in early April. And within, I think, about a week, the first case came up. The partner of the first case, I think, has also passed away. I think, if I remember rightly from the reports, she was trying to travel back to Europe and got unwell en route. And then someone else died who was on the boat, and the 2 other crew members are sick. And there does not seem to be a rodent problem on that ship, because that's the first thing that you would want to look for. What that suggests to me is that this is person-to-person spread. Now, that has got to be the most serious concern, which is why the WHO would be involved, because if we are having person-to-person spread, now this does happen with the Andes variant, and we have had person-to-person spread. It's primarily in Argentina and Chile, but it would have meant somebody picked it up in their travels, brought it to the ship, but they are then having multiple person-to-person spread, because 3 people have died and I think 7 people overall were sick. 2 crew members had to be airlifted out. And so what you have here, it appears that this virus that does not normally travel easily person-to-person seems to be spreading person-to-person. This may be why I think the Cape Verde, I think, wanted to keep them at a distance, quarantine until they know what is going on. Here is the bit that I always highlight. When it comes to unusual disease presentation, as what happened in 2020, the assumption from the scientific community was that this was just an accidental, natural situation. I said from the start that this made no sense. The SARS-CoV-2 didn't normally behave like this and shouldn't be able to do this. Then we hear about a furin cleavage site, and we didn't ask enough good questions. What that means to me is that if the SARS-CoV-2 had been interfered with and made more transmissible, and we didn't address the issue of it, chances are people will be emboldened to try it again. And listen to me, here is the problem. Some people may think that if you got past COVID and you are okay, there is nothing that can touch you. Well, let me just tell you, this virus is a beast of a virus. If you thought COVID was bad, I think it's something like 40% mortality with hantavirus. And so if you think about the 3 people that died out of 7, that's almost, that's 40 something percent. And so we are talking about a lethal virus that appears to have the capability of spreading person to person. That is absolutely frightening because it shouldn't do this. Now, what was the delay? This is the other worry, is that there seems to be a delay between the infection and the onset of disease, and it can be up to 8 weeks. And so if this is relevant with regards to the ship, because they came from Argentina, you may soon see similar patterns occurring in Argentina. If you have a virus that is therefore spreading further, this in itself could be a significant risk to everyone across the world. Don't underestimate it. Let me just make you listen to a little bit more from the BBC News report before we close out.
Frustrated with security tools that overload you with alerts? Aikido makes it simple. A single platform that shows you what matters and how to fix it, from code to cloud. Legacy tools drown you in endless alerts, leaving developers.
They've so far only allowed just the two sickly crew members to be disembarked and evacuated once plans have been made to perhaps Europe, but everybody else is meant to then set sail possibly to Las Palmas, which is an island off the Canary Islands, but that would take about 8 days of sailing or so, where they hope to then continue doing further testing there if they are allowed to disembark those passengers.
So one British national being treated in an intensive care unit there in Johannesburg, where you are. Tell us a little about hantavirus, how it spreads, how do they think the passengers came infected?
Well, we know that it's an incredibly dangerous disease. It is rodent-borne. Humans often contract it when they've come into contact with the excrement of either rats or mice, saliva or urine. So at this stage, it's suspected that during their expeditions, during this 2-month-long cruise, where they were going to various points, bird watching, they may have come into contact with what I've just mentioned there. Now, the key problem, Karen, at this moment, is that this is a disease that has a long incubation period. It can take anything from 1 week up to 8 weeks to show symptoms. So even though currently the numbers of the people that have been reported seem to be fairly low, it's something that officials have said needs to be watched even when people return to their home countries to make sure that they don't later then show symptoms.
And just
So pausing, yes. So that's where we are now. As I said, this is a very serious virus, and we are going to be watching this space. So the final points that I will give to you are that the main reason why this virus does so much damage in terms of mortality is because it causes the blood vessels. This is the endothelium lightening of a blood vessel. And what happens, it gets very leaky. And so
I'm sorry, I gotta stop this guy right here for just one moment. This guy's worried about watching the virus instead of stopping the progression of the virus entirely. So this is, like I said, this is all conjured up ultimately by the spirit and power Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and Lord willing, we get out of here sooner than later.
So fluid from the bloodstream leaks out into the tissues, and if this happens in the lungs get very heavy, congested, and people can't breathe. And this is part of the reason why it has been so lethal. So this is a big story in my view, something that we need to follow. Let us hope that it is only a minor blip, but we have learned, don't underestimate the seriousness of what appears to be just the starting point of something. We need to keep an eye on it. We need to keep abreast of the science and look for innovative ways to find solutions. As I said, keeping abreast of science. Why is toxic liver disease rising across every age group? Everyone should be interested in this. And guess what? even check and see if free tickets are available. If not, donation tickets are available. You can donate anything. You need to come and listen to this kind of information. Keep up to date. Make sure that you are well educated about what is happening. Thank you very much for being with me. I'm Dr. Philip McMillan. I'll continue to bring you up-to-date information. Have a great evening.
It's Pod's biggest sale of the year. Save up to 30% on moving and storage until May 18th. And see why.
Well, at this point, just bring on the dang asteroid, man. Society, when it was our time to be an adult, apparently they're saying we got round 2. They're saying it's the hentai or hentavirus. Apparently it's a reality. Yeah, you might want to wash your hands before watching this video. You don't have to like or subscribe, but check this out. Roll it.
What exactly is hantavirus?
Hantaviruses are common in rodents, and people can get infected with this.
3 cruise ship passengers have now died, others are being treated in hospital, and dozens more are stranded at sea, all after catching a strain of a disease that's
yeah, look at that little prick out there. Yeah, look at that little bugger.
Usually spread by rats. Health experts say there's no wider threat and the situation's under control.
It's very unlikely that we will end up in a pandemic situation.
So where do...
That's what they said the last time too. That's exactly what they said the last time, but then we still ended up getting the pandemic though.
Where does this hantavirus come from and how dangerous is it? Here's the breakdown.
Uh-oh. Yeah, here we go. Okay,
the
nice little
MV
music.
Hondius, a luxury cruise ship that was taking around 150 people from the southern tip of Argentina to Cape Verde off the coast of West Africa until 3 people on board died after becoming seriously ill. Lab testing confirmed they had a rare disease called hantavirus. Since then, there's been more suspected cases, including a British doctor and 2 others who've been evacuated to hospital, and a man who was on the ship last month who's now being treated in Switzerland. Spain did agree to let passengers head to the Canary Islands for medical checks, but the island's leader has said no, saying public safety can't be guaranteed.
Yeah, you can't really blame him though. Yeah, you know. Yeah, no, it makes sense though. He don't want to let people on his island, especially if there's a chance that they're infected, because they might wipe out the entire island, and he don't want that. Makes sense though, but how deadly is it? Like, what's the probability?
So
like
what actually
percentage-wise?
is hantavirus? It's usually spread through the saliva or excrement of infected rodents. Even dried feces is a risk because it can release tiny particles which are easily inhaled. Symptoms can take 1 to 8 weeks to show and can feel like mild flu. But phase 2 can lead to lung damage, heart and kidney failure, and in the most severe cases, death. Unlike a disease such as COVID, hantavirus normally can't spread as easily from human to human. However, cruise ships are known for being prone to virus outbreaks.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like every time, like, it seems like, yo, somebody gotta, whoever is playing Plague Inc. right now, you need to stop right now, mister, because we don't need you to be playing these games out there, because it seems like it's going on a cruise nowadays seems like a horror movie.
Back in 2020, COVID spread to more than 700 people.
Shalom, shalom, give all praises to you. Hallelujah, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Crocodile, double honors to the apostles and the elders, the GMS, and the teach open scripture salutation to the icon, everyone. Doing this truth and faith in their all sincerity. Shalom.
On the Diamond Princess. Being in
Yeah.
the same space for weeks, sharing buffet food and limited medical access at sea all contribute to the risk. That's why the World Health Organization has said MV Hondius passengers could have spread hantavirus between each other.
We know typically most people are infected through contact with rodents or their saliva or droppings, but this one particular virus has been associated with some limited human-to-human transmission among close contacts in past outbreaks.
Though scientists have stressed hantavirus isn't a global threat, what we still don't know is how or where the virus was picked up in the first place.
Society, when it was our time to be an adult. Let's see what the good old BBC is saying. BBC. Okay, British Broadcasting Channel or Corporation, not the other BBC, okay? What is the cruise ship hantavirus and how does it spread? There are more than 20 different viral species. Yeah, okay, so you thought it was only one? Well, we got 20 of these suckers out here. Let's see.
Typically spreading to people from mice and rats, it appears to have spread from person to person.
Officials have confirmed some human-to-human transmission.
Oh, dang. So this one was first reported on May the 3rd, and now it's the story is picking up because it's been a few days. So they have been stuck there for a few days?
Cluster of confirmed cases is serious enough that all passengers on board the Hondius have been quarantined in their rooms. Their ship is also stuck because here's the Atlantic Ocean, here's the ship floating, passing the time, and here's the island nation that refused to allow the ship to dock as a precaution against the disease spreading any further.
Yeah, that's kind of sad and gotta be, I mean, understandable, like he don't want to let people on his island, especially when there's a chance they might be infected with the hantavirus rather. Yeah, right, but it gotta be scary for the people on board though. Yeah, man, I hope like this one is solved quickly and efficiently.
So let's cut through all the noise and just answer the question.
Yeah.
What happened and how serious is it?
The World Health Organization has identified 8 suspected and confirmed cases.
3 people who were on board have died.
I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here.
Hey team, the investors, they want to meet us tomorrow. We need the app ready now.
On it.
At CubeSmart, we know finding the perfect home is hard.
How close did you say this is to the House of Bounce?
I'm sorry, what?
The indoor trampoline park, mascots Kyle the kangaroo?
We're Diamond Tier Bounceroos. Get to skip the line at the alley-oop hoop.
Yeah, guys, don't laugh, man. Don't laugh. I see you laughing. If you laugh, you go to hell, bro. If you laugh, you go to hell, man.
Hondius is what's called a polar-class ship. That means it's built to navigate the coldest climates and to be able to hit ice without breaking, which is handy.
What's up with like hitting ice, man? Damn, let's not hit the ice like that, bro. You know, 100 years ago, we all know what happened with Titanic, though. Let's go around the ice. Let's not try to hit ice or anything like that, bro. Yeah, let nature do its own thing.
When you're this far south. The Hondius left port on April 1st from Ushuaia, Argentina. Its first stop, South Georgia Island. It's about 5 straight days of sailing.
And the views were absolutely worth it. Looking down over the bay, the colony, and the surrounding.
Damn, man, brother was happy, man. Man, you know, nowadays it's like, you know, you go around the Middle East, it's like...
Salaka, they had reports on this guy. I'm not sure all the details yet, but this guy's affiliated. He's plugged in some way, some form, somehow. So, Lord willing, I can get back to that and go in depth about this guy.
hey, like, you know, vitamin N's, there's a chance of vitamin N because Uncle Donnie, President Trump, he's like talking about wiping out Iran though. So you know, Middle East is kind of like discombobulated with that stuff here. Argentina, man, people just want to see them cute little penguins, and you can't even see them without like some sort of virus, without you catching some sort of viruses, bro. Damn, bro, that's kind of sad right now. Bring on the asteroid, bro.
Surrounding mountains, and yes, Gen 2 penguins actually climb up these hills.
That's Jake.
Yeah.
He's a travel blogger. He's on board the Hondius, and I've used
Sounds a little feminine to me, but all right.
his social media posts to pinpoint where the ship was on roughly which days, because it's around this visit to South Georgia Island the first passenger started to get sick, a 70-year-old from the Netherlands. To him, it might have felt like mild food poisoning or a bad case of the flu.
Fever, headache, muscle aches and pains. It's really, you know, it's non-specific. You're not going to, you know, if someone walked into a clinic with those symptoms, it could be a list of things longer than your arm.
According to a World Health Organization.
Yeah, because once you catch it, you might be like, it's just normal, and it might not be normal. So it's kind of, the symptoms kind of overlap each other, and they're kind of like the same. But damn, man, another one. It seems like another one. Yeah, what about that disease X, right? The Nipah virus. Yeah, we had that couple of. Yeah, I remember making a video on it, and that was coming from the bats again, and now like, damn, man.
Organization
Another one
report, this man had fever, headache, and mild diarrhea. This was on April 6th, 2026.
Taco Bell can give you all of that too, plus way more, so it's kind of hard to say. That's why I hate it, man. Like, because you cannot tell, like, how are you getting, or these symptoms kind of like, you know, very generic symptoms.
While on board the ship. But as the cruise continued, as the Hondius.
And I'm sure they designed it right around that. They designed it that particular way. This is more powerful than picking up arms and deleting people, because it can take out thousands, hundreds of thousands at a time.
Was approaching one of the most remote inhabited islands on the planet, Tristan da Cunha. The man's symptoms had grown much worse. By April 11th, the case developed respiratory distress and died on board on the same day. What the ship's sole working doctor on board would have been wondering was, how did this man's condition get so bad so quickly? And another question, who did this patient have contact with?
This is something that's been happening since the beginning of shipping in the world, where you see these viruses happen on these large ships. There's a lot of people in a very small geographic area, so you get a virus onto a ship, it can spread very quickly.
It turns out the 70-year-old who had just died wasn't traveling alone. His wife was with him. They had been traveling together in Argentina before the cruise, and one would expect might have been in very close contact over the course of the cruise. By April 24th, so this is 2.5.
Dang, so that's crazy. So for a month now, oh my god. And yeah, you're in very like tiny spaces, I guess, or you know, it's the geography is very small in the ship, right? So
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 100.
Half weeks after her husband got sick, the wife too would fall ill shortly before getting off the ship at St. Helena. She got very sick.
So you're telling me that you gotta, man, this is crazy. So you gotta work all your life, all right? You gotta work all your life, pay taxes, work, sleep, eat, work, sleep, eat, repeat, pay taxes, and then you become, let's just say 60, 70, and you're like, okay, finally I'm gonna travel the world, yay! And you do cruise ship, because hey, why not? And then you get hit with that. Damn man, yeah, the Matrix, brothers, the Matrix, man. Society, man, it's our time to be an adult, bro. Damn, man, just bring on the dang asteroid, bro. Sick and tired of that sucker, man.
Her stomach in pain on one day, trying to find a flight back home. One day later, April 25th, her condition worsens while en route to the Netherlands through Johannesburg, South Africa. At some point, she reportedly collapses at an airport. The next day, April 26th, she dies in hospital.
Rest in peace.
Test results show she too had hantavirus, and health authorities started contact tracing the people she was around, the plane she was on, the ship passengers she spent time with. What investigators would very soon realize,
So almost like 2.5 weeks ago, it's been 2.5 weeks.
if they hadn't already, was that more passengers were about to report symptoms. The same day that second case, the wife gets off the ship, another passenger reports to the ship's doctor. He has a fever, is short of breath, signs of pneumonia. He's evacuated to an ICU in South Africa. A third confirmed case of hantavirus.
On the
Then,
second,
the same day, that third case is confirmed. A fourth case presenting with pneumonia dies. Beyond that, as of the moment I record this,
Okay, so what are the chances? Let's actually Google that really quickly. Seems like the chances are quite high. So this said 150 people on. What are the chances of dying from hantavirus? Hantavirus, okay.
They say it's 40%, but it's probably 60% mortality rate.
Let's go AI mode. I know, guys. I know, man. I know it's AI, so it won't be 100%. Hantavirus syndrome, the severe respiratory illness, primarily found in North and South America. Has a high mortality rate, typically ranging from 35 to 40%, as high as 50. Sheesh. So 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 rather. No, that's crazy. That is crazy.
we've since learned of at least 4 more suspected cases of hantavirus on this cruise ship, 2 of them crew members. And now they're trying to control any further outbreak by keeping guests in their rooms.
We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people.
Yeah, that's kind of sad though. Like, you work all your life, pay taxes, and then you get hit with that one, man. That's sad though. That is sad.
I think it's important to point out, in some of these cases, the people who got sick are already getting better, showing improvement.
Notice mainly is mostly Edomites and the BW that's doing all these vacations, so the hell with it. Eve need to pay for the sins of her nation, as well as Esau Edom need to pay for his sins. And his sins as a nation as well.
Improvement.
That's good.
This virus has no silver bullet treatment, no cure, no vaccine, no antiviral.
Many people will require intensive care unit level care. Some people will require intubation, supplemental oxygenation, ventilation support.
The type of...
Here we go again, man. Here we go. But thankfully, it's not crazy. What's this called? It doesn't transfer that quick, right? Thankfully, God bless, thankfully. Otherwise, bro, like, we better have round 2, man.
And when I say sins, I'm not talking about sins against the Most High as far as the covenant is concerned, because only the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are part of that covenant, and so only you can sin. But this man's got a lot to pay for. Also, abusing the children of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, Eve, Esau, Edom, in the same bucket.
And I don't think society needs round 2 right now. There wouldn't be any society if we get that. But yeah, no, it sounds like Plandemic. You guys think it's Plandemic? Or they're trying to plan another one? Because they have been saying, you know, when I say they, I mean the ones, I don't want to name his name though, but, you know, he said that there will be another one. We need to prepare. Has said that years ago, months ago, right? There will be another one. Yeah, man, I don't know, man.
Of hantavirus we're talking about here is what's called the Andes strain of the virus. One of the countries where you'll most often find it originating, Argentina. That's important because you'll recall that's where the cruise ship left from and where the original 2 cases, the husband and wife, had spent time before boarding. But this strain of hantavirus is also very unusual because it is the only strain where human-to-human transmission has ever been confirmed.
Usually people acquire this virus from the accidental inhalation of viral particles, and the viral particles can be in dried feces or dried urine of certain rodents.
So you can imagine how this might typically.
I don't know how many times they're going to try to spin this so the public believes it, but a lot of these people are waking up. Okay, even some of the 2/3 are waking up to the atrocities of this devil and what he's capable of doing and what he is doing. So, I don't know.
Happen. Maybe someone is sweeping mouse droppings out of a shed or a kitchen. Bits of those particles get into the air. You're basically breathing in disease dust. The virus infects the lining of your blood vessels. Often what happens next looks like the flu.
Yeah, please don't tell me we're about to get another plague though, because these little rodents, mice, rats, they're everywhere, right? They're everywhere. They breed fast too. Damn, man, why it gotta be us, bro? Like, what did we do? What did you do? Right? Exactly nothing. You did nothing. I did nothing. We did nothing. Why we gotta go through these times, man? Damn, bruh. Millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Okay, forget Gen Alpha, but millennials. I'm millennial, right? Millennials and Gen Z, bruh. We have been through tough times, man. Financial crisis, housing market crisis, insane taxes, crazy gas prices. Gas prices, exactly. We've been through a lot. We've been through a pandemic back in the 2020s too, bro. Holy smokers, man. You gotta be flipping my flapjacks, bro.
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the drums.
There can be fever, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, nausea, vomiting. But in severe cases, blood vessels in the lungs, they become much more leaky. Plasma seeps out, and you suddenly have a hard time breathing because your airways are flooded. Your heart rate speeds up. You need oxygen.
The disease progresses extremely quickly, and at the onset of respiratory distress, death can occur within 24 to 48 hours.
Now, what we've heard from just about every expert on this file is that this form of hantavirus is deadly, yes, but also exceptionally rare because it doesn't transmit between people all that easily.
The risk to general public is low. This is not a virus that spreads like flu.
Now that's a damn lie. They haven't told one before. They telling you that the transmission is not human to human. That's a bold-faced lie. They haven't told one before. They designed it to be human to human. If it's not human to human, it wouldn't have the effectiveness that it has.
Or like COVID, it's quite different.
Are we believing Maria or what? Are we believing Maria right there? Or what? We believe in her or we don't? Yeah, I want to know. That's what they said the last time too. That's exactly what they said the last time.
Outbreak, they say, would require people to be in very close contact for a prolonged period of time. This isn't we passed each other in the hallway or we both touched the same railing. But on the other hand, cruise ships are tight, enclosed spaces. Complete strangers might spend entire days together at sea.
I think in this...
Yeah, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. Yeah, it does make sense, though. So you want to avoid cruise ships like a plague right now. Like, quite literally, right? Quickly got to take a second to shout out you guys, especially Jennifer, Flynn, Dark Tower, Oliver, Joseph, and the homie Nathan for becoming brand new members on the channel, as well as re-becoming members, Dark Tower and Nathan, for re-becoming members on the channel. Thank you guys so much for all the love on the channel, man. For becoming members, supporting the channel. Thank you guys so much for all the blessings. Just make sure you bless me by washing your hands before you actually touch the like button or dislike button or subscribe button or the member button, okay? I don't want anyone catching these diseases out there, bruh. So yeah, please wash your hands, man.
Case, it was a smaller cruise ship, close quarters, and the fact that they really didn't know what they were dealing with early on, I think that really facilitated the spread.
Now imagine if this happened and it was just random. This is not a random set of events. This is orchestrated. To get a worldwide pandemic going via cruise ship. Because a cruise ship, you got people from all over either the U.S. or all over the world are gathered together. Then they get released and go back to wherever they're going or go back home. And that's how it spreads. So this is not random at all.
Spread of this virus to multiple people.
The real problem, right?
Yeah, who would have thought, man? Who would have thought, like, yeah, I'm gonna go on a ship and catch a virus or potentially catch one, right? People gonna go about their day, though, like, rightfully, though. So, yeah, man, it's kind of wild.
Now is that there are too many unknowns. The incubation period for hantavirus is somewhere between 1 and 8 weeks. That's potentially 2 months worth of contact tracing to figure out where and when the disease came from.
1 and 8 weeks. Okay. All right. So there is no way for knowing fully till it's like at the end, kind of, right?
From who's had it for how long and how many others they could plausibly have infected. So the possibilities health authorities would have had to consider, and it's a huge range here. Maybe every single person who's gotten sick got sick from a rodent on dry land, meaning none of the spread happened on board the cruise. Or maybe the original couple who got sick in Argentina and brought the disease on board, where they infected.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards number 2, though, honestly.
A small handful of other people. Or what's also possible is that the disease originated on the cruise ship. A mouse.
Yeah, that is possible too. Plandemic, ladies and gentlemen. What if they actually put a little sneaky little like rodent there with a virus, or perhaps they actually put a hantavirus on the ship to begin with? So it starts right there.
On board was carrying the disease. It spread, and this explains why a country might be hesitant to allow the ship to dock, because it may not simply be a carrier of the disease, it may be the source.
They're basically quarantined off the shore for the next 21 days until they figure out where the virus is coming from and whether or not the virus is still.
21 more days. Holy. So
it's too late. All you need is a couple that has lots of contact with other people to spread this this virus. So it's not what the people think it is, and the Most High did give these plagues. Okay. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 61. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. So just keep in mind that the source of all this is coming from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and the ones that don't make it are not meant to make it through this second pandemic.
So 21 days from now? That's crazy. So almost, or maybe even early June. So people gonna stay there till early June? Nah.
On the ship, or did it come in via fruits and vegetables, or are there mice on the ship still spreading this virus around?
Right now, the evidence suggests this disease has spread between humans, and not just from rodents to humans.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc.
But underlining once again, it's not known to spread easily, and it is known to be a very rare disease. So
getting
health
some hope.
experts, for the most part, are taking this seriously, but don't seem overly alarmed. Beyond that, more knowledge.
Yeah, giving us some hope. Did you see this video that is going around? Apparently, they are openly talking about aliens and UFOs. Yeah, President Trump actually came out again, and they're warning pastors right now. And we got a bunch of other videos of the lizard people and the gray aliens. Yeah, check out this video on the screen, and I'll see you there. It's pretty wild, man. Pretty wild. Don't miss that.
Check this out.
If you ever wanted to start your own clothing brand, but you didn't want to buy inventory.
Hello, how you guys doing? What's going on? Welcome to my channel. We're here to talk about the virus. It's a virus that is spreading very fast. They said this is going to be worse than COVID, and they want you guys to prepare. It happened on a cruise recently. People are talking about it. So I want to go through TikTok to share with you guys videos of this virus. I want to know your thoughts about it. Are you prepared? Are you concerned? Does anybody in your friends and family already have it? So let's hear what they say, and they're going to give the symptoms. So I'm going to warn you guys, it's going to be kind of brutal. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here at this YouTube channel. I am your host, Gigi Medici. All right, so let's see what's going on.
Investigators race to control a deadly outbreak of hantavirus, the first ever recorded on a cruise ship. That ship right now somewhere off the coast of Africa on its way to Spain's Canary Islands. All of it at the request of the World Health Organization. But the point of infection may have been Argentina, where investigators say the leading theory is that a couple caught the disease before boarding of exposed to rodents during a bird watching tour that included a stop at a landfill. So what now for the more than
bird watching? They think you people are stupid.
140 people still on board that ship, including 17 Americans. Tom Hansen joins us now with the latest on the investigation. Tom, good evening. What do we know?
Tony, good evening to you. We have learned from local reports that late tonight, one of two planes evacuating sick passengers had to make an emergency landing on Gran Canary Island due to a malfunction with the patient's isolation bubble. They are waiting a replacement equipment to arrive before they can take off. Tonight, the Dutch Foreign Ministry says those three passengers believed to be infected with the deadly hantavirus will receive specialized medical treatment in Europe after a high-stakes evacuation off the MV Hondius. Now a debate is raging over what to do with the nearly 150 remaining passengers, just days away from reaching the Canary Islands.
Quiero manifestar mi profundo rechazo.
Some local leaders there are rejecting the ship's arrival, adding to the concern a growing number of reported cases, 8 in total. The World Health Organization confirmed the infection of a Swiss national who left the Hondius cruise liner in late April. The UK's health agency says 2 more British passengers are self-isolating from potential exposure. And a contact case involving a Frenchman who was not on board the ship but flew on a plane with one of the infected passengers, according to the French Ministry of Health. The Dutch cruise ship departed Argentina on April 1st, headed for South Georgia Island. 5 days later, a Dutch passenger developed a respiratory illness. On April 11th, he became the outbreak's first death at sea. The man's wife disembarked on April 24th and flew from St. Helena to Johannesburg, where she died 2 days later. A second male passenger was evacuated on April 27th and flown to Johannesburg. And on May 2nd, a third passenger died on the ship.
The atmosphere was tense.
Ruhi Sinet was a passenger on the cruise. He recorded this video of the captain.
One of our passengers sadly passed away last night.
Following the captain's announcement, Sinet said the passengers on board continued with social activities.
He said it was due to natural causes and we're not infectious. This was relaxing at the time, but it was also misguiding us.
Nonetheless, he decided to get off, along with dozens more passengers. An ocean-wide expedition which operates the cruise gave us the following statement, and I quote, "This onboard announcement was made on April 12th, 2026. On this date, the cause of death of this individual was unknown." They went on to say proper procedure was followed at that time. Tony?
Tom, thank you very much. Investigators race to control a...
Here's what you need to know about the recent hantavirus outbreak that's stranding about 150 passengers on a cruise ship off the coast of Africa, and unfortunately 3 people have passed away from this viral infection. This sounds scary and it is a concerning situation, but this is not something that most people need to panic about because the risk to the general public is very low. This viral infection spread...
This is what I believe, okay? Like I said, I speak as a man. But this is what I believe the Lord is causing all these different calamities to happen either simultaneously or right around the same time. Okay? Whether it be famine, plagues, war. And so every one of these prophecies is going to take out a certain amount of people. And so now we got what's going on with the Israeli America versus Iran war, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed or restricted to U.S. and allies, driving the price of crude oil through the roof. And knowing that this is going on, this is causing a shortage in fertilizer. It's causing a shortage in gas. You know, diesel's added into that. So we got fertilizer, gas, we got the packages that are being affected for goods, you know, whether it be whatever plastic package that your items come in when you purchase it. We got helium, which is also a major factor because it is utilized to cool down these big ass processing chips, or used in the process of making them, either or. Okay, it's used in some way, form, or fashion dealing with these CPUs. Helium. Not only that, but helium is also utilized for the MRI machines. And the generic medicine is being affected because of this restriction on the Strait. And who is it mainly affecting? It's not really mainly, but they keep saying that it's affecting China. It's not really mainly affecting China. Okay, they can go on land and trade with China. They can do it inland and trade with China. So even though the China might be affected because of this global system, China is not nearly as affected as America and its allies. So, you know, Lord willing, that's another topic for another time.
Spreads mainly from rodent bites and droppings, and rarely can be through human-to-human transmission. And while that's possible on a cruise ship. It hasn't been confirmed, nor does that mean it's going to be spreading like wildfire. This viral infection can make people very sick, and depending on the strain and where it's coming from, can lead to basically two distinct clinical entities. One that comes from Europe and Asia can be a hemorrhagic fever with kidney involvement, and the other from the Americas could be more pulmonary involvement, leading to flu-like symptoms and respiratory failure. The World Health Organization has been working on this issue, and I'm hopeful that the passengers will be able to leave safely from the ship soon. If there's anything more pertinent about this issue, I will let you know in future posts, so make sure you're following.
Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked are Esau, Edom, and his companions. Man, who sits on the head of that? Amalek, which the tiny tots, the ones that are running this world in complete wickedness because it was given to them. Covering the faces of the judges. This is iconoclasm. The true judges are you Negroes, Latinos, you Native Americans from your respective 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. If they're not the judges, it can't be these people, not the true judges, because you can look at their track record. What they're doing now, they're covering wickedness up through corporations and organizations.
To stay informed. Here's what you need to know about the recent hantavirus outbreak that's stranding about 150 passengers on a...
I don't want nobody to panic, but 7 Americans that was aboard that goddamn ship that has the hantavirus have returned home. And I do mean home to the United States. So according to MedPage Today, multiple sources reported that 26 members of that ship got off on April 24th in St. Helena. They all decided to take their ass home. And 7 of them were Americans. And these are the states that they took their ass to. Well, the ones we know so far. Arizona, California, Georgia, Texas, and Virginia. And baby, a spokesperson for the California Department of Health told MedPage that they were notified by the CDC that California residents was aboard that fucking ship. But they don't show no signs of being sick. Now, the CDC also says we're coordinated with local health officials as needed to monitor returning travelers. They said right now, none of the travelers seem to be affected or ill. But the incubation time for the hantavirus is like 4 to 6 weeks. So, we got time. The Georgia Department of Public Health told MedPage Today it is monitoring 2 Georgia residents who return home after disembarking the fucking ship. Keep your ass in the fucking house! I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. They said the individuals are currently in good health and show no signs of an infection. This black woman is going to have her hands full with the CDC. Thank God you walked in, though. I don't want nobody to panic, but 7 Americans that...
The hantavirus affecting the cruise ship appears to be the Andes variety, which goes human to human. This is devastating news because the hantavirus has a lethality rate, a mortality rate of 15 to 40%. 3 people have died currently of the 8 people that are infected. 3 of the individuals on the ship are being evacuated to...
What if that not... Now here's a thought. What if it mutates for every transmission and it gets stronger? This could have a mortality rate of 99.9%. But I really don't want to... I have to be very careful of my thoughts because a lot of my thoughts are
the Netherlands for treatment. One of them is in very bad shape. This is an RNA type of virus, which means it mutates quickly. Think influenza, think COVID, which means a simple vaccine won't protect you forever from this. You will need boosters if this comes into our society. And if it comes in as deadly as it is, we are looking at a plague.
You're going to need your Habashim Yahushua, fuck a booster. Okay? If the people didn't learn anything, they should have learned what the hell the wicked was doing when they were creating these vaccines and giving the vaccines to people. And the vaccines are doing more damage than the actual virus itself.
Far worse than the Spanish flu, far worse than COVID, and far worse than many of the plagues we have seen. This at a time when the United States is withdrawn from the World Health Organization. And right now we are depending upon the World Health Organization to keep our shores safe.
The men of the Lord are not dependent on the World Health Organization because they're still tied into the same system that oppresses the children of the Most High. Okay? And that's basically what this is about. Not only that, but this man is going to keep going. He's going to destroy himself. Not only the world and all the animals and human beings in it, but he's going to destroy himself as well. He's on a road to destruction. So he has to be stopped.
Used to be we would be sending the Centers for Disease Control and its scientists there who kept our shores safe from Ebola. But alas, we can't do that because we have devastated the Centers for Disease Control, firing a number of the scientists who would do it. This is not a time to play politics. This is a time when we need the scientific community to come up quickly with information to keep us safe. The hantavirus.
We're in a post-COVID world. People are scared. They hear about an outbreak and they're worried. I know you say this is not COVID. Explain to me why.
So this is not COVID. The Andes virus, which is a kind of hantavirus, requires close, prolonged contact between two people in order to have transmission. When we've seen this happen in the past, it's been in the context of spouses, that kind of close contact. What makes this really hard to contain is the fact that it's on a ship and the timeline. So you have this long incubation period. You also have a period of time when people can be infectious before they show symptoms.
So we got 140 people on this boat. 17 of them are Americans. How do you deal with that population safely?
Could they, in theory, come home safely? Yes. The risk of spreading this on a flight is very low. They would need to be near a hospital that has a heart-lung bypass machine because that's what you need when you get really sick with hantavirus. But it is something that we can anticipate that some countries won't want to accept them, right? And this goes back to the Ebola days 2014, 2015. So these passengers may well need to quarantine on the ship.
That out-of-office mess. What began as a cruise.
We are learning that potentially deadly infection on a cruise ship off West Africa can be spread from person to person. The last 3 passengers thought to have the strain of hantavirus were evacuated overnight. We're also told another person who left the ship days ago is being treated for the virus in Switzerland.
The 3 remaining passengers showing symptoms possibly linked to the deadly hantavirus were evacuated by boat from the MV Hondius. Video shows them being ferried from the moored cruise ship off the coast of Cape Verde to the shore. The Spanish government says the ship, with nearly 150 passengers on board, will sail to the Canary Islands for a full disinfection. That journey is expected to last 3 to 4 days. A statement from Spain's health ministry says medical teams from the islands will examine and treat passengers and crew before sending them back to their home countries. This comes after 2 confirmed cases and 5 suspected cases of the rare hantavirus were reported on the ship. Of those, 3 people have died and 1 person is in critical condition. Meanwhile, some passengers who are still on board have shared that they feel they're being well taken care of while quarantined. Jordanian-Palestinian travel influencer Qasim Ebn Hattuda shared his view on board the ship with his millions of followers on social media.
اللي أمامنا هناك دولة كيب فيردي الرأس الأخضر ولكن ممنوع ننزل عليها.
In a statement to CBS News, he said, quote, "Our days have been close to normal, just waiting for authorities to find a solution. But morale on the ship is high, and we're keeping ourselves busy with reading, watching movies, having hot drinks, and that kind of things."
I'm here to tell y'all if hantavirus happens, baby, get your house in order because the nurses are not coming to clock in. Bedside nursing is already hanging on by an actual thread, and we're done. I'm not doing another pandemic with y'all. And I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of us would need more than 10K in order to go back to work and risk our lives again. I'm just saying. I can name about 10 places right now off the top of my head that I would rather work than go back to the bedside. It doesn't even matter how much they're paying. Count me out. I'm here to tell y'all if hantavirus happens, baby, get your house in order.
The rat virus cases continue to rise and there's been a dramatic medical evacuation at sea. Here's the latest on the hantavirus outbreak. The cruise ship MV Hondias is anchored off the coast of Cape Verde. 2 seriously ill crew members, one of them the ship's doctor, as well as a close contact of another passenger who died, have been transferred to a small boat and brought ashore by medical teams in hazmat suits. Ambulances took them to waiting aircraft specially equipped to keep them stable on the flight back to hospitals in the Netherlands. Just over 140 people remain on board, including this passenger from Jordan.
حسب ما فهمت إنه إحنا حاليا أكبر خبر في العالم. فالأمور إلى الآن تمام.
If you are panicking or worried, that virus is about 2 weeks away from America because it has already left that boat. That virus has now left that boat. It's been left the boat, but now it's even more confirmed. Now, according to the World Health Organization, who you should be following, don't even ask questions, just follow them. They stated that the Swiss authorities have confirmed that the hantavirus or the Andes virus identified in a passenger from that cruise ship was identified, and he had actually submitted himself to the Swiss hospital. According to the World Health Organization, he had responded to an email from the ship's operator informing the passengers of the health event, and he presented himself to a hospital in Zurich, and he's receiving care. Now remember, there was about 150 people on this boat. We know of 3 people passing, 5 being hospitalized, and now this guy in Zurich. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm trying to tell the story without crying because we don't have the protections here in the US to protect against this, and it's on its way here. Now, shout out to Phil over on X because according to investigators in Cape Verde,
Newsflash, it's already here. John Steve starts saying more outbreaks of this as time goes on.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I think I pronounced it Cape Verde, but it's Cape Verde. They stated that the individuals, patient 0 and patient 0.1, his wife, had caught the Andes virus from bird watching in Argentina. The fact that this virus has already left the boat, like, I can't even think straight. I'm so stressed out because I'm just like, it's already off the boat. It's already off. It was on a plane. It was on a plane, y'all. The World Health Organization said they are launching that investigation because they have to contact every single person who was on that plane. The plane where patient 0.1, the wife of patient 0, had died. We have the same president since last time. Are y'all awake? That virus is about 2 weeks away from America because it has already.
This is Jack. He's an entrepreneur and he wants to set up a professional website so his customers can find him online. A website he can easily maintain himself. But Jack has a small budget, no technical knowledge, and no web design experience. Luckily, he recently heard about Webador. With Webador, anyone can build a free professional website in just a few easy steps. Sign up. Choose from one of the many responsive templates we offer. Edit the colors to match your house style, and play around with our user-friendly drag-and-drop system. Images, text, videos, buttons, everything you need. From a standard website or blog to an online store with integrated payment methods. Whether it's for business or just for fun, you can build your dream website in a matter of hours. You can publish your website on your own domain. We'll make sure your website is automatically fully optimized for all search engines and mobile devices. Need help? We offer good support, and our team is happy to answer any questions you may have. So, Jack's customers can now find him online. He saved himself a lot of time and energy, and he can maintain his own website. Sign up today and join thousands of satisfied customers. Start building your own website now.
And shout out to the Spanish lady on that boat who got the tea, because she just gave us a list who got off that boat. Now, 23 passengers have already gotten off that boat 2 weeks ago, and we're just finding out about this now. Now, according to El País, which is a Spanish newspaper in Spain, they've reached out to somebody who is from Spain on that boat, and here's what they had to say. According to that passenger, they said 23 people had already gotten off the boat 2 weeks ago. We're just finding out about it now. According to that Spanish passenger who is still on the boat, I want to make that clear. That person is still on the boat. They're just talking to the Spanish publication. They said they landed at St. Helena on April 22nd. And then they said that that's when those people got off the boat. Now, that was 10 days after the first person had passed away. So it's understandable that those 23 people were like, hey, just get me off this boat. That's understandable. Now, this is a quote directly from that Spanish passenger. They said, in St. Helena, 23 people got off. There are 23 people going around, and until 3 days ago, no one contacted them. So they didn't even know that they were being, well, they know now, but they didn't even know until a few days ago that they were even in contact, close contact with somebody with this virus. Now, the Spanish passenger goes on to say that while most of them are still under strict hygiene and isolation, 23 people are home. And this is who the Spanish passenger says they believe got off the boat. So they said that an Australian who went to Australia, they said someone from Taiwan who was on the boat went to Taiwan. Americans, because this affects us, Americans went to North America. An English lady went to England, and then Dutch to their home. Now, remember, I think that was the person who had got sick, right? The Dutch, wasn't it he Dutch? Okay, well, now we know. Now, the Spanish passenger said, I don't remember. She doesn't remember if anybody from Spain was in that group of 23, but these are the people that she remembers. Now, after El País reached out to the World Health Organization, they said, yeah, we had the ship operator reach out to those people. Because again, that's how that guy in Lake Zurich knew to go to the hospital, because they reached out to him. So hopefully he was the only case of the 23 people from that boat to get in contact with the hantavirus. Now, that still doesn't account for the people on the plane, and we're still waiting on word to hear back. Do they know that they have come in contact with that lady? Now, if there's anything else about this hantavirus that I find, I'm going to keep y'all posted. And shout out to the Spanish lady.
Lord willing, you will edify you, and I'll praise to you, Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shem,